first, please introduce yourself.
Oh, hi, I'm Andreas Beust. I'm the CEO of GCP-Service. I'm very privileged to have the opportunity to have that role. I actually started out as a statistician here in 2017. Worked in that department for a couple of years, also became the department lead for it, supported the medical writing team as well as a department lead for some time, and then moved into the management position of the entire company.
What are the primary responsibilities of a CEO in a full-service clinical research organization?
I'm sure that varies a bit by size. So for context, we are on the edge of being mid-sized, I would say, or just mid-sized at around 100, just over 100 people at our company. For that reason, I am still quite hands-on in a lot of projects. Not from an operational point of view, because this should be managed by the experts, but I'm still involved in consulting. And this is something that I actually do a lot, both internal as well as external. When a new project comes in, a client comes with a new request, there are some ideas, and we are just beginning to develop the budget for it. I'm heavily involved in that. So I do a lot of the business development side of things, consulting early on about statistical questions, about regulatory questions, approaches to country selection, patient recruitment, and so on. These are things that I have delved into a lot over the last 2-3 years, and which I leverage and which I get supported by expert knowledge to really develop this. Some of this knowledge of mine, because I've worked in close to 100 trials at this point, is also consulting our internal people. If there are certain questions or certain decisions should be made and they simply would have a second opinion, I'm very happy to also consult on that. In addition to it, in our company, I also manage a bit of the back office, which means I support and engage with the quality assurance team, with the office management team, with finance team. All of these things are there. I report also to the board here at GCP Service, not only as being a shareholder of the company, but also to the other shareholders on how things are going, what are our plans for future. And I drive development of the company, which new markets to go into, which goals to set for ourselves in terms of services and regions. These are all things I involve myself in. So it's really a nice bouquet of different activities and tasks and really engaging things that I get to do on a day-to-day basis.
How can you keep oversight of all different tasks?
Yeah, sometimes that can obviously be a bit challenge. I think you naturally need to have a good aptitude for organizational skills, and I believe I do have that. That doesn't mean that there's nothing that drops off the table ever, but in most cases I can actually manage quite well. Of course, the typical organizational things like keeping to-do lists, keeping tasks there, but I don't like to keep this list long. I actually need to decide very quickly on whether a task is important for me to do or if someone else should do it. That is the first thing that you need to learn. I had a tough time doing so at the very beginning, but you pick it up because you don't survive if you don't change the way that you approach your tasks. So you need to make decisions quickly on whether something is important. You can solve it immediately, if it should be deferred, but then also you need to set yourself clear timelines and manage to adhere to that as well. Obviously, I would say more work than a regular workday goes into managing all of this nevertheless, but it's important to still, stay on top of all of these tasks, but also make sure that you empower the people around you to support you in what you need to do. And I have a fantastic team that supports me along all the steps, not only Thomas, our co-managing director, but also all of the team leads for the operational sides and the team leads for the non-operational parts of the company. They really work very independently, and they need to, because that reduces the work on my end and it allows me to be strategic in where I want to allocate my time to.
How does your role as CEO impact the overall success of clinical trials within the organization?
Well, I would say that really it is down to 99% is our operational team. The operational team has the experts, and we have the structure in place that they have the support system they need to excel at it. I can consult, sure. I can provide my input, and I can speak of experience when I engage with them. That's clear. But the operational teams, they drive the success or failure of the study. And therefore, it's my role to do everything I can to put them in a position where they can succeed. what I need to do is to ensure that the logistics in the way that the company is set up support their work on a day-to-day basis. I need to make sure that they have all the resources and the time and the support that they need to excel at their job. I need to make sure that the quality, that the umbrella that they work under is supportive of their work, and that they get colleagues to discuss challenging questions with on an ongoing basis so that there are no delays in that. This really is a factor that drives it. And so my job is to keep them here, keep them happy, keep them engaged with their work, and ensure that there are no things that are distracting them from the core, which is keeping our clients happy.
What strategies do you implement to ensure compliance with regulatory requirements in clinical research?
Yeah, I think for us, this is twofold. And again, it is not something that I do specifically myself, but I ensure that we do have the internal resources. And there is a non-operational and operational piece. The operational piece is that we have an excellent regulatory affairs team, which stays up to date with all legal requirements within Europe and outside of Europe, and provides regular update trainings to the entire staff, and sometimes also just team specific to the regulatory team to ensure that they are aware of all the regulatory requirements. This is the one pillar. The other pillar is quality assurance. A lot of times you will find upper management sees quality assurance as a hindrance to company like development. It makes things slow or complicated. That's not the case in our team. We have a fantastic QA team, and it's actually quite large, and it also works a lot for other companies. So our team goes ahead and supports and structure development of quality management system for smaller company. They audit, and this brings in external feedback as well that we can leverage for our own processes. Also, they are really great at supporting audits at our company and using that feedback as well as feedback generated from our operational teams to keep our quality management system up to date and in full regulatory compliance. And so with them supporting our operational teams and our operational experts providing the regulatory input, we have all the tools we need to stay up to date and compliant with all regulatory changes.
Can you discuss the importance of collaboration between different departments in a clinical research organization?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a core. And I think this is also a strength. Again, we are more mid-sized in structure. This is a definite strength of ours over global, very large companies, is how closely knit the relationships between our departments are. Because at the end of the day, a clinical trial is nothing that a single person can manage end to end. You always need information to pass from person to person to person, and from team to team to team. And here, this knowledge transfer is a risk factor for trial success because information gets lost. Maybe not lost, but it gets filtered from one person to another. There is a conscious or subconscious way of prioritizing information and representing information from one team to another that needs to work really well. And the closer these teams work together, the more understanding they have of what's important for each other and not only for themselves, the better that information transfer works. And one of the strengths of our company, and something that we truly embed in our work culture and work ethics, is for people to look beyond the things that they do themselves. We have a lot of people that don't only hold a position in one, but maybe two departments, so they know what other people are also doing. And we have a lot of exchange of what individual teams do, how their processes work. And that really fosters a culture in which individuals of one team are aware and sometimes really know details of what other teams are doing, what they need, and which information could be pivoted to their success. And that is something which we really put an effort in managing, including communication trainings to assist in cross-cultural, cross-departmental collaboration, to really have the foundation of information flow neat, tidy, and very efficient between our departments. That is truly an important factor to our trial success.
How do you approach risk management in the context of clinical trials?
I love risk management. I have given several webinars and conference presentations on that topic. It's been one of the things that I have worked on for many years, most of my years here at GCP Service, in establishing and moving forward, because it's a key to trial success and trial efficiency. One of the things I think that we learn really well, because we do trials with drugs and devices, and on the device side, in the regulation, you already have risk classification innately embedded. For many, many years, as a company, we have been very successful in implementing a more risk-based approach. And this has also impacted very positively, let's say, the way that we approach trials with drugs, which maybe have been a bit more conservative and have spent more effort on things that are not as important. And so one key parameter, especially because I love it so much, for me is to make sure that not from the point of budgeting in a clinical trial, I consider the fundamental risk of the project, of the development stage, of prior knowledge, of risk of the indication, risk of the knowledge of the participating trial sites or vendors or global structures, geopolitics, and so on in the general budget, in how much effort we should put in to control, to check, to communicate, to ensure that everything's running smoothly based on that risk profile. And from the start, it means there is a general idea of what we should do, what we can focus on. And this I transfer over to the operational team once we start such project, in a clear discussion with the overall team, but also in a specific discussion with the project manager. And that is the foundation. And I'm also, more often than not, risk management is what I'm still actively involved in trials, in discussing where we should put a focus, on which processes, on which steps along this trial, on which key parameters of the project. And this is still where I can have a positive impact, but our team really picks it up well, and our entire quality management system is structured around understanding risks and shaping effort and focus accordingly.
Do you think that ICH GCP Revision 3 will address risk management? And will it have a positive impact on the industry?
It's interesting. I had such a discussion at the German Society for Pharmaceutical Medicine. We had a pro-contra session earlier this year. And I was very happy to take the contra side there. Not because I don't believe it's going to have a positive impact, but because I believe the structural tools necessary to convey what truly risk-based quality management is and how to implement it are missing. There is a larger extent to which different elements are meant to, embed risk management in the way that they are approached, but no tools are given, no specifics are given on how to do it. And we know our industry, so fundamentally it's a bit conservative and risk prevails, so our risk aversion prevails in a lot of cases. From a risk-averse point of view, doing 100% to everything is still the best strategy to go. And there is nothing that tells you you shouldn't do it. And there's nothing that gives you the security that this is an area where you can maybe decrease the level of effort, because this is rather specific. And even Revision 3 doesn't give you a toolbox to decide what's really important and what's not, other than the typical patient safety, patient rights, data integrity, and data quality. These are still the same. That hasn't changed. So what I feel is missing a bit in this update is a little bit more guidance on how to actually apply it, how to assess risk for your trial fundamentally, what would be acceptable for that. And I think here, this will over time establish, but it could also over time already establish from the last revision. So I don't think we will have a light year step between these two. It emphasizes once more, but really industry and everyone needs to just continue slowly moving. And I think we will still have to discuss with clients what they can reduce and what they shouldn't reduce, because there's not really a clear understanding or guidance embedded even in revision 3.
What metrics do you use to evaluate the performance and effectiveness of clinical studies?
At the end of the day, a clinical study success is largely, let's say, if you break it down, it's budget and time. These are the key metrics which you have. And then if you look in a more granular way and you go through the different stages, there's a lot of key factors that drive this. And this is from the time that is necessary from like contract signature to regulatory approval. You want to keep this as short as possible, because this allows you to move into a phase where you can already actively generate data. This is one of the key parameters that you should look at. Then once the study is active, one key parameter is how many patients do you enroll on an ongoing basis. Is this within expectation? Is this above expectation? And there's a lot of factors influencing it. not the least of which is, how long does it take between approval and sites being activated? We tend to keep this really short, and we are very proactive in approaching this phase of the trial, but we have seen many examples where this, strings out over many months, and that really impacts the recruitment efficiency also down the line. It's about how you engage the stakeholders in the trial, especially the investigators, to sort of like keep an interest in the project and ensure compliance with what you set out in the beginning. And then, sure, close down. It should also be a smooth ride from there. So this is that parameter. Time is important here, and of course, you should also in that process manage the budgetary side of things and not go overboard with the assumptions. And make sure that you stick to what you had planned before. Try to shift budgets to ensure that you don't exceed the expectations. That's a really important piece. Then, of course, within a trial, compliance is very important. So there should also be an understanding of, sure, we have a lot of patients. Sometimes you see this with large trial sites, where a lot of clinical trials are run, a lot of patients, but the quality of the individual data is not where it should be. There is no timeliness of data entry. You cannot really check the information as fast as you would like. And if you do, you identify that there are quite a lot of differences. So you get fast data, but that fast data is not up to par, not what you want from a quality perspective. So while you should measure budget and you should measure time, you also should measure quality for sure. And if you look at these three parameters, I think you have a great overview of whether your project is going in the right direction or not. Do you stay in budget? Do you stay in time? Do you stay in expected quality?
What challenges do you face when managing multiple clinical trials simultaneously, and how do you overcome them?
Well, luckily, I don't manage clinical trials to that extent. I am the sponsor representative for a handful of projects in which I carry the ultimate responsibility, and for that reason, I must have oversight over them. So I can use that as an example. Here, as I mentioned before, it is pivotal that I have the right experts that provide me the right information. If I need to dig into the details myself, if I cannot get easy overviews, I'm lost. It just takes too much time. So this must be efficient. If I set out from the start, though, what is important for me to understand where we are in the trial progress, what is the performance of the project as we had just discussed, then it becomes easy for me to ask for a specific report for specific metrics. Now, luckily, we have our own in-house CTMS, our clinical trial management system, which is called QCTMS. And I can log into the trial. I have an overview of all the risks, which I pre-discuss with the study teams. And here I can just see in a traffic light system at one glance, everything is okay, everything is not okay. On top of this, I get into meetings. Half-hour meeting is more than enough for update on regulatory status, patient recruitment status, safety status, and anything else I need to know. And this I get in downloads every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, depends on sort of like what's the need of the trial. And that keeps me oversight over several trials in parallel while still maintaining to the ability to jump in and provide specific input if I feel like my knowledge, my background, and my perspective can aid the operational team. At the end of the day, though, it comes down to really having an expert on the other side. And luckily, we have a team of wonderful, not only project managers, but also operational team manager members. And they do a fantastic job. So I know that what they're delivering is of very high quality. And therefore, it's very easy for me to trust them, to trust also the way that they implement the project and manage the project. And really, it is my job to reassure this and confirm to them that they have all the liberties to make the decisions, to enable them to lead the project as they see fit, because they are experts and they do a fantastic job.
How do you prioritize projects when resources are limited within your organization?
Well, first of all, if we do not have resources, we don't have projects. It's that simple. I think it is very easy to become greedy and say like, well, but it's another project and we can somehow manage. No. The most paramount element, I believe, of our business is the connection to existing and prior clients. If we deliver at high quality within the expected timeline and in the expected budget, we leave a very good impression, and that carries forward, not only for that organization, but also for others as well. We only have one reputation, and we need to do everything in our power to maintain that high level of reputation that we have. And so when I look at projects and I feel they are going to completely overwhelm the team, they are out of the scope of what our company can leverage. Like a 50,000 patient trial across the globe is too much for us to manage, because I would need to put like all of the operational team on it. I should just not accept it, even if the budget is stellar and it would secure the future of our company. At the end of the day, it would not secure the future of our company. The client would be unhappy and we would lose that project down the line and our reputation with it. So these decisions at the project level need to be made. If I commit that we can run a project, we can run a project. So of course, there are certain things though where there can be issues. For example, if you have an unexpected long-term sick leave, or if you're fortunate enough that one of your team members becomes pregnant, this is a wonderful event, but it of course has a midterm effect on your availability of your staff, and sometimes even short-term if things don't go as planned. So in that case, immediately there needs to be an evaluation if part of the team can support this, part of other teams can support it, so finding internal resources together with the team leads. And immediately you should also evaluate if part of that, the projects that you have now or in the future can be outsourced already, so that work and other projects can go ahead. For example, in some of the central services, can something already be done here or there, which will have to happen in the future, supervised by our team, while we deal with this immediate short-term need. This very rarely happens because we plan our resources and our staffing conservatively. But nevertheless, sometimes that can happen. And of course, it's my job to forecast the future well enough, my job and that of Thomas, to forecast the future well enough to be prepared for new project loads and to hire people ahead of time so that they are here and trained by the time the project starts. And that is a way that we, of course, fluently need to manage it. But the first step really is to not be greedy and to always focus on quality and delivery to existing clients first, rather than onboarding new projects.
Do you had bad experiences with freelancers?
We did have bad experiences with freelancers in the past. I don't think they're a good solution. I love to have everything in-house with our own people managing it. The oversight is better, the results are a bit better. The communication between the different departments, as we had discussed before, is so pivotal, and you don't really get this with freelancers. So we really don't like using any, and that really rarely happens.
What is your favorite part of being a CEO of a clinical research organization?
My favorite part, I think, it's a bit tough to say because there's a few things which I really enjoy. The first one really is the people. More so than in my job before as a statistician, I now get to interact with all the teams. And that's wonderful. It's a wonderful opportunity to get different perspectives, different daily routines on the entirety of the business, and learn so much. So I really, truly enjoy this. And yeah, that's a fantastic opportunity for me to learn and grow as well. In addition to that, I really love the versatility of what we're doing. And this comes with things that we have in-house, but it also comes with new clients, new projects, new consultations, which that is really always exciting. If there's something new, treatment of tomorrow or the next decade is something we see already today. I feel blessed for that opportunity to look into a bit of future, into the latest developments, and to be able to contribute as a part of that. And obviously, while it is rather exhausting, of course, at times, I really, really also enjoy the travel and the world and the cultural exposure that I get through this position, because I do get to travel a lot. Sometimes, or rather all the time, this comes with very long days, very short nights, a lot of time spent in hotels and on airports and in airplanes. But it is an opportunity which I feel privileged to have, to see the world, to take that experience and try to leverage it to use it in the way that I approach managing the people here, managing the company, in just taking in what the world has to offer. Because we are not restricted to just Germany, our headquarters here in Bremen. The world is vast. We have a very diverse, culturally, background-wise team. And I love that I get to see and explore the world also firsthand for myself, and use some of that to inform which direction we take the company.
Thank you very much for the interview.
It was a pleasure.